The queen has cleaned up the royal house, but Constantine's descendants are still princes and princesses of Denmark. Although ex-King Constantine did not use his Danish title much, it is not uncommon for his children and grandchildren to use them, historians say. Greece's last king, who passed away on Tuesday at the age of 82, was a man of many titles. As well as holding the title of ex-king of Greece after the Greek people voted to abolish the monarchy in a referendum back in 1974, he was also Prince of Denmark. And although Constantine is now dead, he leaves behind several children and grandchildren, all of whom are entitled to bear the titles of princes and princesses of Denmark. This is despite the fact that they have very little connection to the country. But how is it that Prince Joachim's children can no longer be called princes and princesses when there are other princes and princesses of Denmark in Europe whose origins are Greek? The search for a king. Many would be led to believe that the titles of the descendants of the ex-king Constantine have something to do with his wife Anne-Marie. It is a safety net he throws out for George I and his descendants. Anne-Marie is the younger sister of Queen Margrethe and therefore Princess of Denmark. But according to historian Emma Paaske, the story starts much earlier. In fact, as early as the mid-1800s, when Greece decided that it would like to have a king again. The search went into the other European royal houses, eventually settling on King Christian IX's son Prince William, who later became King George I of Greece. Christian IX agreed to the decision, but as Greece was a very politically tense area at the time, the Danish king decided that King George I's children should have something to fall back on in case the Greek royal family disintegrated, says Emma Paaske. He therefore decided that future descendants of George I should bear the titles of princes and princesses of Denmark, so that they would always have Denmark to come back to. It is a safety net he is throwing out for George I and his descendants. It's actually really clever, says Emma Paaske. A prediction comes true. Christian IX was to be proved right in his assumptions about the Greek royal family. Not once, but twice, the monarchs of Greece have had to flee their homeland. Most recently in 1967, 3 years after King Constantine had taken over the throne from his father Constantine, and Queen Anne-Marie had to flee to Rome as a result of the Greek coup d'état. The couple subsequently lost their Greek citizenship, but because of their titles as Prince and Princess of Denmark, they were allowed to keep their Danish diplomatic passports, says Emma Paaske. But even though, according to the historian, the ex-King Constantine did not use his Danish title very much, it is not uncommon today for his 5 children and 9 grandchildren to refer to themselves as princes and princesses of Denmark. They sometimes use it, for example, when they are mentioned in the press, or when they attend official events in Denmark or England, or on social media, explains Emma Paaske. Do not have the same obligations. When Queen Margrethe decided that Prince Joachim's children should be addressed as Count and Countess from January 1, 2023, the reasoning was that the 4 grandchildren should be able to shape their own lives to a greater extent without being limited by the obligations that formal membership of the royal family entails. I think it was for the sake of the grandchildren, because these titles come with a lot of obligations, and there will be much more scrutiny of what they do, says Emma Paaske and adds. Obviously, when you don't have this title anymore, you have a freer life. Despite the fact that Constantine's children and grandchildren can still bear the titles that Prince Joachim's children are no longer allowed to, they have none of the same obligations that might have been expected of Count Nikolai, Count Felix, Count Henrik and Countess Athena, according to Emma Paaske. Constantine's descendants use them mostly as an identity marker of who they are and where they come from, she says, adding that they live normal lives with ordinary jobs. The question that remains, however, is why Queen Margrethe, in cleaning up the Danish royal family, has not also chosen to include the Greek ex-royal family? I am very curious to see how the former crown prince and his wife will get on.